So I've spent a lot of time looking at videos on YouTube of spiritual teachers, and it's been very interesting, and I wanted to get involved and participate in the dialogue that is happening in this digital age, and say a few things about what I've noticed, and to start off by pointing out something which seems to be really of immediate importance, which has to do with the whole question of how we are in many ways addicted to proliferating and overthinking and overcomplicating the whole question of what awakening is about, the whole question of what enlightenment or inner growth or transformation is about. And that proliferation, that overcomplication, and is a kind of an expression of a habit of ignorance that tends to be out of relationship with reality. And so if awakening is about anything, it is about coming into relationship with reality. What else could it be about? And this coming into relationship with reality actually results in a falling away of the complexity, and a falling away of the need to overthink, and the falling away of needing to reinforce or buttress ourselves with doctrine, with ideas that we hold on to very, very tightly. And really spiritual growth has to do with growing beyond all of that and learning to trust in the immediacy of the moment, and learning to trust in the pure contemplative intelligence that awakens as a result of coming into true or real alignment with the singularity that is awareness, that is our true nature. So there's a wonderful story in the Buddhist tradition which is very important as far as I'm concerned. And in this story the Buddha is in a forest, and while walking through the forest with a group of monks, he bends down and he picks up a handful of leaves, and he says, "Which is more, all the leaves and all the trees that there are in the forest, or the handful of leaves that I'm holding in my hand?" And the monks say, "Well, Lord, there is a lot more trees, there are a lot more leaves and on all the trees in the forest than there are leaves in your hand." And the Buddha replies by saying, "So it is. That which I've seen and understood can be compared to all the leaves and all the trees in the forest. But that which you need to know for your own freedom, for your own liberation, can be compared to the handful of leaves that I hold in my hand." And so it is that that which we need to understand to become free is actually quite a narrow, quite a niche, quite a specialist focus, whereas that which we tend to enjoy looking at can be compared to all the leaves and all the trees in the forest. Now there is a lot of very true, very wonderful information out there about all sorts of remarkable and amazing things, which is true, perhaps. It certainly has its own virtue and its own reality, but when it boils down to the desire for our personal freedom and the transformation that can come about by that, and the benefits that can be experienced as a result of really coming into alignment with reality, that can be compared to the handful of leaves in the hand. And it is quite simple what is being asked of us, but it's not simple because we're already very complicated, and so that complexity then is a defense that we've already established as a way of managing the bewilderment, really, that we face as a result of the mind opening and opening and opening and opening to its inherent vastness. But the vastness is nothing to be scared of, because as the old psychological structure, the old psychological momentum, the old psychological habit of holding on is relinquished, is let go of. It's replaced by a quality of intrinsic radiance, intrinsic clarity that has tremendous sense of aliveness and freedom to it. And that becomes the predominant experience at the center of our lives. And that's not a bad thing. It's our true nature, it's our true self, it's that which is the receiver and experiencer of everything that arises, and the knower of its passing. And there's an embracing of everything that arises and everything that passes that gives rise to a feeling of completion, because then in that embrace there's a tremendous quality of fulfillment, a tremendous quality of oneness. And this is what sometimes spoken about in Buddhism as mindfulness, which is the heart's embrace and the head's cognizing with free intelligence the nature of what's being experienced. And so there's the conjoining of the head and the heart, and then it becomes, in sense, the universe knowing itself, as opposed to me as an individual trying to work things out. And there's a great freedom and a great relief in that, and a great buoyancy and a certain quality of joy that shines through as a result of coming into that alignment with the way things are. It's the lila that they talk about in the Hindu tradition, the play, the interpenetrating of thingness and no-thingness, of form and space. So it's worth remembering that we are already prone to over-elaborating on what this journey is about. So this is why the foundations of mindfulness that the Buddha points to are so key, so critical, where he's pointing to the concreteness of the body, where it's not about taking off and going to heaven. This journey is about dropping down and embracing what's already here. This is what's not been understood. This here is what has not been understood, that which seems to be so definitive, so obviously me, in fact is not definitive and is not me, and that's what needs to be investigated, that's what needs to be looked into. And when it comes to doctrine, then the temptation to believe is incredibly strong. It's really, really strong. If I say to you, such and such is like this, and you believe it, then that helps eliminate the lack of confidence that is inherent with actually being real. It's not so much lack of confidence, but it's an undoing of our old ways of knowing. There's a saying that used to hang on a picture in my bathroom that comes from the Jewish tradition, which went, "Teach thy tongue to say I do not know, and thou shalt progress." And there's a huge amount of truth to this, because it's the arrogance of thinking that we are in possession of knowledge, that we have understood something, that is the box that actually prevents us from experiencing what is the intrinsic openness of life directly. And so as we become more confident in this path and this journey, we do gradually become less knowing in the old way of being in possession of knowledge, but more attuned to the immediacy of the now, where there's a spontaneous arising of understanding that's appropriate to the moment but cannot be held on to. So where does the orientation come? How do you actually stay sane, balanced, if there is nothing to hold on to? Well, it's a quality of mind to go into a state of stillness, become truly serene, when it's not obscured by the continuous movement that is our thinking. And it's not then that thinking is bad, it's not that thinking needs to be eliminated, it's just that thinking needs to recede more into the background and becomes understood in the light of presence, not as separate from presence, but as a function of presence where it's informed by the substance of awareness. So just to wind up, it's important to remember then not to believe anything that is said doctrinally, because the believing of doctrine is not a key to liberation. And if you're a smart person, if you're an intelligent person, then obviously you want the real deal. You don't want second-hand news. You want to see it for yourself. So we don't believe anything that is said by anybody until we've scanned through our own experience, and that's something that we perhaps talk about later, how you create the conditions and set up a framework that will facilitate the clarity of seeing, so you can check and test and see if what is pointed to turns out to be true, turns out to be real. Then on the other hand, you don't want to be so smart, so clever, so thinking that you've worked it out, that you reject what's been pointed to. So to neither accept nor reject is the wise person's position, but to undertake the task of going beyond thinking about reality and connecting with reality in a true and authentic manner. This is what we're interested in. And so this is my first video, and hope you enjoy.